Bridgeman Peng Zaizhou's Mission Impossible and his toolkit for the removal of Xi Jinping. One-man messenger shakes the earth and moves mountains. It's too early to evaluate the full impact of the extraordinary one-man protest staged by Peng Zaizhou Peng Zaizhou, real name Peng Lifa Peng Lifa, on Sitong Overpass 四通桥 on October 13, 2022 2022年10月13日 in Beijing. But this much we already know. His action caused a ripple effect across Chinese social media and beyond, eliciting shock, disbelief, admiration, excitement, whispers, and above all, hope. Though just how this flicker of hope will manifest itself remains to be seen. Over the years, this website has reported on many activists, brave men and women in China, who put up a fight for freedom and democracy under harsh circumstances and made untold sacrifices for that cause. But few of them are quite like Peng Zaizhou and the feat he pulled off for a few but enduring minutes on Sitong Overpass. He belongs to singular category, similar to that of Tank Man in 1989 1989. The source of the shock and the ensuing emotions came not only from the daring slogans that resonated with many Chinese, but perhaps more so from the seemingly impossibility of his action in the middle of Beijing's tight security and the fact that people have been slowly fading into an anguish of hopelessness and despair over the past years. Under Xi Jinping, the bridgeman jolted tens of thousands of Chinese awake, so it's important to understand the perfection with which Peng carried out his action. The timing. He chose the day after the CCP concluded the chief and final plenary session of its 19th Congress, in heightened anticipation of the party 20th Congress, which opened on October 16. Xi Jinping is expected to assume an unprecedented third term as General Secretary at the end of the party's Congress. The location, Sitong Overpass, is located on the bustling north section of the Third Ring Road. To its south is Friendship Hotel, one of Beijing's oldest hotels designed to receive foreign guests in malls around Beijing Institute of Technology. To its north is Renmin University of China 中国人民大学 and, a short distance down the road is Zhongguancun, where tech companies are concentrated. The overpass is 280 meters in length, an enclosed 6-lane expressway bridge that can only be accessed through traffic from either direction. This condition afforded Peng Zaizhou just enough time, a few minutes, to carry out his plan in Beijing's barrel-tight security before the police and firefighters arrived. The action, Peng hung up two large white banners on the side facing Renmin University. He set something on fire that created a beacon of black smoke while playing a looped recording of his message loud and clear. The message, on the banners, and from the loudspeakers, Peng broadcast his message. Say no to COVID testing, yes to livelihood, no to lockdown, yes to freedom, no to lies, yes to dignity, no to cultural revolution, yes to reform, no to great leader, yes to voting, don't be a slave, be a citizen. Students strike, workers strike, remove the dictator and state thief Xi Jinping. Peng Zaizhou's message tapped into the widespread anger and frustration towards the Chinese leader that simmers below the artificial calm guaranteed by the CCP's stability maintenance measures. Xi's motivator took a third term as party chief and chairman of the People's Republic of China breaks the unofficial term limit set by Deng Xiaoping and which was adhered to by Xi's processors to ensure smooth transitions of power. The Chinese people. The heyday of the reform era, with excessive testing and lockdowns, Xi's zero-COVID policy has disrupted lives of millions, led to untold humanitarian tragedies, and forced businesses around the country, particularly the smallest and most vulnerable, into destitution or bankruptcy. The impact. Peng Zaizhou knew he would have only 8 minutes of time, and he had only one chance. He made maximum use of the few minutes and the one chance. Despite all-out censorship and omnipresent surveillance, people across China have been finding ways to spread Peng's message in social media, in public restrooms, at bus stations, on city billboards, on the walls of PCR test booths, through airdrop and WeTransfer, and posting stickers in Public using Democrat printer. Outside China, posters with Peng slogans appeared on dozens of university campuses in the US and Europe. A single spark can start a peripheral, video, radio-free Asia. A powerful broadside against Xi Jinping in the form of a long poem was making furiously rounds on WeChat 2 days ago that proclaims that brave man is our spokesperson. One tweet by Zhao Hong Xiaohan, a former law professor at China University of Political Science and Law in Beijing who was suspended in 2009 for his active participation in public debates about law and constitutional democracy admire when such discourse was still possible in China, speaks for a lot of people in China right now. A coward, I admire Mr. Peng Lifa. I am grateful, and also ashamed, in these treacherous times. I pray for Mr. Peng's safety. And thank you for strengthening my beliefs. Around 4 am Beijing time on October 13, the day Peng Zaizhou Zaizhou pulled off the all but impossible protest on Xinjiang overpass, a file titled A Toolkit for Student Strike, Business Strike, and the removal of Xi Jinping 罢工罢课罢免习近平攻略 was sent to several overseas Chinese language websites, and also posted on www.researchgte.net where he had posted a handful of electromagnetic papers before not presenting it as research paper, obviously, but using it as a hiding place. They are no longer there. The file is clearly an integral part of Peng Zaizhou's section that we have no way to ascertain whether he himself was the sender, not that it matters that much. The 23-page PDF file has 21 units with a letter that reads, "This is a protest toolkit. This is an election platform. And this is a policy plan, all for the purpose of opposing despotism and save China. Those who violate our human rights must be rejected no matter how powerful they are." Unit E. Strategy to fight the state thief states that the purpose of student and business strikes is to prevent Xi Jinping from illegitimately assuming the term, and further take China on the path to freedom, democracy, and prosperity. To avoid a violent civil war, it says, a non-violent, popular participating color revolution is the best way to go. It lays out 4 principles of protest: decentralize in early stage, form small units in universities and communities, spread truth to as many people as possible, especially to the military, police, and government officials about the dictator, as well as the purpose of our actions. Non-violence without hurting innocent people, damaging properties, and committing crimes. The unit concludes with a collection of protest posters for ready use. He recommends dozens of methods of protest including information warfare, strike, honking at certain locations, disseminating flyers and ads, hanging banners, burning tire, setting up roadblock, sabotaging PCR booths, playing recording during public square dancing, and flying balloons and drones. Unit R, titled A Doggerel, describes some of the dynasty-changing revolutions throughout history, and criticizes Xi Jinping's rule. Unit 3 is a letter to the Chinese people sent by the Universal Suffrage Committee of the People's Republic of China. It particularly addresses the armed forces, armed police, police force, the reform and opening up. The Chinese people are again at the crossroads, he writes. He calls on the armed forces, the armed police and the police to follow the beautiful and civilized China is the home to 1.4 billion people, not the private property of tyrants. My compatriots who do not want to be slaves, stand up bravely, let us vote, and let us campaign for office. He thinks the PCR testing over the past 3 years is good training for voting. And all China has to do is to replace the PCR testing booths into voting stations to elect the president, the provincial governors, the mayors, and the county chiefs. An illustration from Peng's Toolkit. Unit 5, who we are. We're migrant workers from the countryside who have no social security. We are people on the bottom rung of the society who cannot afford medical treatment. We are jobless, drifting from one camp to another. We are college graduates with a dagger but no job. We are employees of the extracurricular education sector whose livelihood was taken away by government order. We are the low-end population who have been cleared out of big cities. We are law-abiding small and micro business owners whose shops are shut down. We are service providers on the brink of bankruptcy. We are people who are either defaulting on our mortgage or contemplating jumping to our deaths. We are either enslaved by mortgage that depletes the savings of 3 generations, or families that dare not to have children. We are migrant workers in cities from the countryside, leaving our children behind. We are parents in provinces where the threshold for college admission is the highest. We are high schoolers who must separate from our parents and go back to our origin to take the college entrance exams. We are the chained women, trafficked and sold with no hope to ever gain freedom. We are defamed intellectuals and educators. We are native residents whose homes are expropriated by force. We are second-class citizens who buy cars or enroll children in school by lottery. In short, he writes, we are neither the people nor the masses featured in the dictator's slogans. We must stand up bravely. We want to establish our own organizations and our political parties to fight for our interests and our rights. The statement is signed off as the Universal Suffrage Committee of the People's Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Party Free Elections Committee, Peng. What is government and what is state explains the consistency of the government days. As an ex-Plerius Heilongjiang Sheng, Ilovamil Manjaburmi I do not obey Peri Heilongjiang. I do not obey Asian met experience density. When I criticize Amphritic, I neither attrition, when must have ethereal chitty chat. Before foreignitude, this referent sense of phrasem Peng. Zaizhou is from Heilongjiang. Assuming the rest of lands 1974-48 years old California graduated Heilongjiang University. And the National Society. In Unit 9, our campaign promises here first and participate perspectives prevention education. People's Livelihood Committee Monocococok Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Sport Sandiculture, notably on the ancient Taiwan Jaxley Tasty. He supports tariff Hong Kong and Macau Politolog Sect. In Units 14-17 highly soliciting, NT, Constitutionalatorum Corruption and Reason. Pan Proposition Charter 08 and for text Dafinchum. His proposed Stringfield. Units 18-20 Arrethia Pendestado. There, citizen movement leader Zhujiang as dear chairman she. It is time for you to go 劝退书. An argumentation for 终身制 by Lao Gi Lao Gui. A writer and dissident Beijing. A Kinesian translation How to Start a Revolution 441 A's. Author unclear post-Dona Chinese language website. Peng Zaizhou as Toolkit and Swissability Unit RE. Hashish Stay Original. Author of Mustafink. Hypology 4P. ANDLEAVESCHINA.gmail.com/PENGZAISCONTACT.PENG as fate over Thespetuency. Also before Peng Zaizhou 3 Chinese the favorisant Shineve. Found the suspect. Constant discussion. The first was Peng Ming. A successful exorcist by Jinping late 1990s. His The Democracy Project is a practical about providing specific CCP as well as demos FISP. The second is Liu Jiabo Liu Xiaobo. World Federation Bing Charter 08 A Manifest Nitabilis Baby 303 Chinese 2008. Liu Xiaobo as the recipe of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2010. The third is Zhu Jiang Xu Zhiyong, Elegant Kalendanda. Leader of New Citizens Movement was the phase 2012-2013 led to plan for each institutions formute China. Under the subtitle to Chinese citizens, 致中国公民书 Digital Fascist-Authentic Chinese. Edition of To Build a Free China, a Citizen S Journey Build English Translation. Pan Ming serving the Elephant, November 2016, aged 58. Liu Xiaobo serving a 1-year sentence.